Hello there, welcome to part 3 of my little video information session. But let's be real, they're not very little. I have a bit of a problem with waffling on. I'm a pantser in videos as well, and I don't really plan out what I'm going to say. And I know it could be a little bit confusing as I jump around topics, but hopefully you've found some information that was helpful. In this video especially, we'll go more into the business side. So basically now we should be at the point where we have a complete manuscript that we're happy to send out into the world and hope that the readers don't tear our delicate little author heart to shreds, because it can happen. Prepare yourself. Start developing that thick skin now. So what do we do now that we have our book complete or as happy as we can get it? Firstly, you need a cover and a blurb, and you need them to be kick-ass. Readers judge books by covers. They 100% do. Even I do, and I know better because I know a lot of authors just can't afford covers when they're first starting out. But it's not always as expensive as you think. I see lots and lots of pre-made covers that start from $50 to $150. Now, in a pre-made cover, you can't necessarily make changes, but a lot of the time they'll be suitable enough for your story. And if that's what you can afford, then I 100% suggest doing that over trying to do it yourself, unless you are quite good with Photoshop. And then you can do your own cover. Some authors do, those who are good with Photoshop. You go to stock sites, so say Deposit Photo or iStock, and you buy licenses for images that you want to use. Make sure you license your images, or that the cover designer who does your cover has the license for images. It's not that expensive, and it's definitely worth getting so that you're covered, because otherwise you're stealing people's images if you just use things you find on the internet. You can definitely take your own photos. You can organize professional photo shoots. That's a good way to get photos that are unique. You've probably noticed a lot of books nowadays have the same couple on the cover, and that's because authors use the same stock sites and just get their graphic designers to sort of digitally fix them up a little bit or change them around. But yeah, so basically we're all shopping from the same reasonably small batch of decent stock photos. So yes, feel free to think outside the box. You can have someone animate it, but just make sure it's as professional looking as you can get it, because it will be judged. The cover and the blurb are your two biggest selling tools. Now, you might have an amazing product beneath, but if you don't pull them in with the cover and the blurb, and you have literally seconds as they're browsing through Amazon to catch their eye. So that's why I'm saying those two things are very important. They are your number one selling tools on Amazon and on all the retailers. Blurbs, quite difficult to write. I would prefer to write a 100,000 word manuscript than my 200 word blurb. Somehow or other, I put too much of some information in and not enough of other information. There are a lot of places you can go to learn how to write blurbs. Have a look online. As always, you should do your research before you do anything, and that includes covers. See, my first cover, I went through 99 Designs. It cost $300, and it's a site where you post a brief of what you're looking for, and a whole bunch of designers will submit their ideas. So it was a good way for me, when I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted, to see other ideas. I quite enjoyed that. I mean, I have a graphic designer now who I go directly through, and I found her through 99 Designs. So I mean, that is a good site if you don't know, if you have a little bit of extra money to spend and you aren't 100% sure what you want. If you're not 100% happy with any of the designs you submit, then you get your money back. They do have a money back guarantee. I've never had to do that, and I've used them more than once. So, you know, hopefully you would always find something. Otherwise, check out Facebook. I have hundreds of pre-made designers doing covers everywhere. Have a look at Soxy Designs. There's a bunch of other ones. If you find some recommendations, that's another good thing. The forums will have heaps of that stuff. So I've talked about forums before, and I think it's well worth your while to kind of browse through them. Be careful about what you post in them, because there is a lot of trolls and nastiness. You don't want to be advertising your book in there. Lots of authors have done that, and bam, hit with a bunch of 1 stars from just nasty humans. So troll through them yourself and have a look, but be careful about what you post in them. So the KDP one is a big one, so that's Kindle Direct Publishing Forum. Kboards is another big one. Goodreads is another one. Facebook will have a bunch of sites that are, of pages that are really useful. I'm in an alliance of young adult authors, and they have lots of authors in there who haven't published yet, and they give out really great information that you might not even realize, and a lot of them are starting out and very successful. So it's another good one to have a look at. That's for young adult, obviously, but all of the information really goes between all genres. Besides a few specific things such as, a language level and things like that might be more specific to young adults. Okay, so that's the cover blurb. Like I was saying, do some research online about the way to structure a blurb. Personally, when I first started out, I had these massive mammoth long blurbs that were novels on their own, and I felt like if I didn't tell you every single piece of that information, you wouldn't buy my book. Now my blurbs are much shorter and to the point, even quite mysterious in some ways. If you have a look at Anarchy, the Second Hive blurb, we've gone for, 2-3 lines. And that's because if you go for the right 2 or 3 lines, you will get people in. I would suggest with covers and blurb, I'm going to be doing a lot of suggesting, that you go to the genre you're writing in and you browse through the books that are selling really well, that are in the top 100, etc. Read their blurbs and take note of what you liked. Oh, that was very mysterious. Oh, they made that guy sound tall, dark, and handsome, and I like that. Whatever you want it to be. Oh, there's action. Oh, there's vampires. You cannot copy other people's blurbs and or covers. You just can't. It's copyright and it's bad form, and it will be found out, and you do not want to start your author career that way. But having a look at what you love, what caught your eye on covers and blurbs, is a great way to learn what might work for you. So you definitely want to do that. You want to research what's selling in your categories, what's selling on Amazon, and then, put your own spin on it. But if you say, oh, I love that color, that really caught me, or I love the way the author name is really bold and I can see it even in a thumbnail. So you've got to remember that covers are only a tiny, tiny little thumbnail size, and readers are flying through the pages trying to find a book. So your cover can't be too dark. It has to have something on it that catches their eye. And you will see that with covers. You will see covers you don't like. You will see covers you love, and you will start to pick out why you love and hate those. And that's a really good research tool when you're starting out. So yes, professional cover and work on the blurb. Send it to people who haven't read your book and say, would you read this? What's missing? Is that enough information? Too much information? Is it interesting? Definitely check your blurb really carefully, or have an editor check it really carefully for spelling mistakes. We're all guilty of that, but that's also the first place you're going to be judged. And if they see spelling errors there, then they're going to assume your book has a lot of them, and a lot of readers will not pick it up. Okay, so finished manuscript, kick-ass blurb, kick-ass cover, you've got the full package there. So now you are wondering what you do next. Okay, so publishing. There are 2 ways you can go. You can be exclusive to Amazon, or you can go wide across all the retailers. So there's a few things you have to consider when you think about that. Being exclusive to Amazon means you can't offer your book for sale anywhere else. I think you can offer 10% as a sample, on a website or something like that. But literally, you cannot sell it anywhere else. You cannot have it on your website for people to take for free, anything like that. Amazon does find it. It will find you if you put it in a box set or something like that and put it on the other retailers. They do find you, and then they can ban you from being on Kindle Direct Publishing. They can keep royalties. There's a whole bunch of things. So it's just not worth doing. So you need to be aware. What you get for being exclusive to Amazon. Firstly, Amazon is the biggest seller in the market, but it's not the only one. A lot of people make decent money off the other retailers, which I'll go into in a minute. But if you're exclusive to Amazon, you get to be in their Kindle Unlimited program, which means your books will be available for people to borrow as well as buy. So people buy your books, and it's based on whatever price you set, and you get the royalty based on that price. For borrows, it's completely separate and it's different. You are paid per page read. So Amazon gives your book a page number. It is not supposed to matter the size of your font or your formatting or your spacing or anything like that. They work it out off some unknown algorithm, And even if your book is 400 pages on Amazon, they might say that their page read count is 550. So that means if someone reads your book all the way from start to finish, you'll get 550 page count reads. And the amount they pay per page differs every month. So what happens is there's a pool of money, 11, 12 million, that they split between however many page reads there were in that month. So what you earn per page read is dependent on how many other page reads there are across all the books on Amazon. So for example, the last few months it's been something like 0.0047 cents per page read. So for me, a few of my books work out better royalty-wise than what I'm getting for sales. A few work out worse, but you only get paid for what people read. So, if they're not reading your books all the way through, you'll still get paid for whatever they read, but it's not the same as a sale. But be aware, with sales, people can return it. They have 7 days to return it, even if they've read the entire book. There are no rules, hard and fast rules on that, even though Amazon tries to keep track of serial returners, because there are people who are just going to borrow and return your books because they don't want to pay for them. But it's still happening a lot, and there's so many. So that's, both sides of it, you have that. I make more money on borrows per month than I do on sales. So that's why I've made the decision to go exclusive to Amazon for the vast majority of my books. You do get a few other things. They let you have like 5 free days in a 90-day period. They let you have a Kindle countdown deal, which means you can set it at 99 cents and then it'll slowly rise over a 5 to 7 day period till it reaches back to its original price. And during the Kindle countdown deal, you'll get a full royalty price on it. So basically, if you price your book between $2.99 and $9.99 on Amazon, you'll get 70% of that list price. So at $2.99, you get $2 a book. At $3.99, I think you get about $2.80 a book. So it just works out off 70%. If you price it between $0 and $2.99, or $2.98, you get 35% royalty. So on a 99-cent book, an author makes about 35 cents. So a lot of people are using a marketing tool now of releasing at 99 cents and having it in Kindle Unlimited so they get borrows. And obviously borrows are separate, and that can be worth a lot more. If you have quite a large book, it could be 300, 400, 500 pages, and that can be worth $3 a book or more. So that is something they're doing to move themselves up the ranks. It is a new marketing thing that I'm seeing pop up a lot. I personally, I don't make any money when my book is at 99 cents, so it's very difficult to price it there. It's a great pricing point for sales. And I find $2.99 is a great pricing point for new books, but you are free to price whatever you want. Have a look at the books in the genres again and see what prices are selling really well. As a first book, a lot of you probably know First World is free of mine. That was something I did when I had 4 books out in a series. So we call that a loss leader. So basically you're going to lose out on that book, but hopefully it gets you a lot more sales for the rest of your series and new readers. And at the end of the day, we're all just trying to find readers. So yes, sometimes you have to take a loss for a long-term gain. So that's another marketing thing, but it's not always something you can do with one book out. It was always suggested to me that you should do it when there's 4 books out, but hey, you can do it when there's 1 book out and your second one's on pre-order. A lot of people do that. They're trying to build buzz for a series. So there are a lot of marketing tools, and the best part about being an indie author is you can change at any time. At any time you can rise, lower, shift pricing around. But keep in mind that royalty structure, because if you go under $2.99, you will lose out to 35% royalty, which can make a big difference. Okay, so that's exclusive to Amazon. If you go wide across all the retailers, you won't be in the program for borrows, so your book will only be for sale. You won't be able to do the free days, and you won't have the countdown deals. You can discount your book to 99 cents at any point you want. You'll only get 35% royalty, and you won't have borrows to fall back on. But you are available across all retailers then. So for those people that only read on iBooks or Kobo or Nook or Google Play, you won't be limiting that market. I was wide for well over a year, and my sales were okay on the other retailers, but it took a long time, a really long time, and it was still a fraction of what I was doing on Amazon. Amazon was still 90% of my sales. The other retailers were 10, sometimes it would rise to 20% if I had a month where I advertised and did a sale. But for the most part, Amazon has always been my dominant seller. So yes, for now, with the exclusivity, you are locked in for 90 days. So that's all. It's not forever. You can go exclusive for your first 90 days if you want, or wide, and then you can come back exclusive whenever you want. But when you go exclusive, you must stay with them for 90 days. And there's an automatic renewal button that you have to click. If you don't click that, they will automatically renew you every 90 days. So you can unclick it so it's not there, and then you can make the decision to renew yourself again or not. I often do that just so I have that choice there, but I still always go back and renew at this stage because I'm staying with unlimited. Okay, so what are we up to? So wide, yes. When I went wide, because I'm in Australia and a lot of retailers do not let you upload directly to them, I went through Smashwords. Now that's like a middleman, someone who will take your book and distribute it to the retailers, and they keep a small percentage on top of the royalty. They also sell your book through their site, and I sold a couple, but not many. Another popular one with authors is Draft to Digital. Now, they are a little bit different to Smashwords. They pay you monthly. Smashwords pays you quarterly. So that is something to consider. A lot of people don't want to wait quarterly for their money. All the retailers pay you 60 days in arrears, which means for the first 60 days you will not make any money, and they only pay you when you earn over $100 in the month period. But once that 60 days has passed, obviously you get paid every month. It'll just be from the month that you finished 2 months earlier. It's a little bit confusing, but yes. So basically, once you pass that first 60 days and that first $100 threshold, as long as you're always making $100 in the month, they'll pay you every month. So you have to decide that, because you can't waffle around or waver on that. You need to know if you're going to be exclusive or you're going to be wide. Every author will tell you a different thing. For me right now, Amazon exclusive is what's working, but I suggest you experiment and just see what works for you, what works for your books. I think it's very hard for a brand new author with no fan base to go wide and to see the sort of traction that you're probably hoping for. I think as a new author, that going exclusive to Amazon, at least for the first 90 days, to see how it works out and to save yourself having to deal with a bunch of other retailers, that would be my suggestion. But of course, you must do what you want to do, and a lot of authors say you must be wide. If you are exclusive to Amazon, you cannot make the bestseller lists, as in New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today. You must be wide, but I wouldn't make that a deciding factor too much for you, because it's very hard to make those lists. I think to make USA Today, you need something like between 5 and 10,000 sales in 1 week period, so Monday to Sunday, just on US sites, across the US sites. And to make New York Times, you need up 20,000 or more, and they don't always even make the list for indie authors. They can be a little bit selective. So yes, that's something that you could put on your bucket list for sure. 100% put it on your bucket list. But don't make it a deciding factor when you're first starting out. It's very hard. It'll take you a while to work there, unless you do come out and be J.K. Rowling's with the first book, and let's hope you do. Okay, so that's what you need to decide. Let's work on it just being Amazon for now. So you need to sign up for an account. And we're talking about just ebooks here. So the account is KDP, publishing account. They'll want all your information. If you're in America, you just put in your normal tax information. If you're international like I am, you do need, well, when I started out, you needed an international tax identification number, ITIN. I had to go through an accountant here to get that, or you might have to go to the embassy, have a look at what the rules are. If you don't, I believe they may have changed it though, so you could just use the local tax file number that you have in your country. Or whatever tax identification number you have. But I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done it for 3 years. But do look at that, because if you don't fill in the tax information, Amazon will keep 30% of your money, and that's to go to the American government. At the moment, Australia and America have a tax treaty, so they only keep 5% of my money, and the rest just comes directly to me. A lot of countries have a 0% tax treaty. I think Canada, they don't keep any royalties if you're in Canada. But you definitely have to look at the tax information. So look, you're a business now. You need to decide whether you want to be a company. I just have a business number. I'm not a company. But that's something to decide at the start if you want to publish under a company. And then you can create your own publishing name, and then it's like you're a publishing company that publishes your books. Again, these are all personal choices, and they all do cost you money. In Australia, I got an ABN, which is free. And I don't know what sort of business numbers you get in your country, but to look into that. But if I wanted to set up a company, it would be a few $1,000s. And I just didn't want to at the time. Would I now? Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. There's always tax differences, and that's something you have to look in your own individual country for tax benefits in being a company or being just a business or just being an individual. Okay, so set up your account. Make sure you fill in all the information properly, and then you have to load your book up. So basically, when you load your book, they ask for all the information, author, blurb, cover, the file. Now, I write in Word, and then I change that over to a HTML file, and then I upload that. That's how but you can just upload your Word document. They have all the things that tell you how to upload it. So once that's all done, you're basically ready to go. You can click publish, you can click pre-order if you'd like. If you want to give yourself 30, 60, 90 days, your pre-orders go up to 90 days. And it usually takes 12, 24 to 72 hours for the Amazon site for it to go live. And then people can purchase it. Of course, nobody knows who you are. So before you do all that, there could be some marketing things you want to do. I never did any because I didn't know any of those things. And basically the only marketing thing I've found that's really worked for me was writing more books. So as I've said in previous videos, I didn't make any money in my first year. I didn't make any money on the first 4 books. And after that, the money was still slow, but I started to make money, and every month I started to make a bit more money. And every book release, I started to make a bit more money. I have 12 out now. I'm about to release the 13th book. And, I work at home as an author. I'm a full-time author. So I have made enough money now to be a full-time author. So it's definitely doable. But it can be, as I've said, a slow marathon rather than the fast sprint. So what sort of marketing things should you be doing to build buzz before or during or after? My feeling is that where people are getting good traction nowadays are Facebook ads, and that's something you definitely want to look at before you start because they're really difficult. I don't know very much about them. They've sort of just started being a huge thing, and I try and experiment a little bit with them, but I'm not really getting the best click-through rate and that some of the authors get. So it is worth seeing if you can find any courses. I think Mark Dawson has a course that's apparently really popular with Facebook ads. So that's one way. Another way is to advertise your sales, but most advertising sites, if you look up, say, best place to advertise a 99-cent book, most of them will require at least 5 reviews, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a minimum, and you're competing against everyone else who's trying to advertise on them as well. Now, the best advertiser is BookBub. If you subscribe to them, you probably know they get thousands of authors every week try and advertise with them, and they only take 20 to 30% of those. I tried for a year to get a BookBub ad, a year of rejections, and I finally got one on First World when it had over 50 reviews. So like I was saying, you need to get the sales and the reviews to be able to advertise, to find more sales and reviews. It's a catch-22, it really is. But the BookBub is your best. A few of the other good ones are eNewsReader Today, Robbins Reads, FreeBooksy. Have a look, have a Google. There's heaps, they come up. Another thing that will be talked about in forums a lot if you read through them or do a search on best sites to advertise with. But there's not a lot of places you can advertise a book that isn't released yet. So what authors do is they approach other authors and ask them for an endorsement, which means that author will read your book and they will endorse it if they like it. Now, this can be difficult. A lot of authors are very busy. I get approached a lot for this, and I have to turn most of them down. I just don't have the time. And you can also find that some authors are not going to like what you've written, and that's fine. You have to get used to people not being able to please everyone. But, then they're not going. You don't necessarily want them to advertise it as something they didn't like, so they probably won't give you a blurb or mention it on their page. Approach book bloggers. Now, they, again, are very busy, approached a lot. You might have quite a wait, so it's something you might want to look at a few months before you're ready to release, if that's the way you want to go. I, again, have never done that. I don't know how much. See, I've tried a few advertising things, and nothing's ever really made any difference besides BookBub. And writing the next book, and making the first in my series free. Those three things were the points where my career changed. My first book, Bob Ad, First World going free, and getting out a decent amount of books in a single series. So if you stay within your genre and series, you'll start building a fan base of people who expect a certain sort of book from you, and they will follow you. They will look for your books. They will not expect a strange contemporary romance, basketball playing, cage fighting book to come out, but you'll still do that because you want to. But yes, I do recommend that you keep to a genre and try and build a fan base first. If you do want to write in other genres, pen names are fantastic. I personally am too lazy to maintain pen names. I have enough trouble maintaining the social media that I have now. Social media is another thing, huge thing. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, of course. I do the minimum on there. I always reply, if I can, to everybody who asks me questions and emails. I mean, that's very time consuming for me now. It's taking 2-3 hours a day. So that's probably something that's going to have to slowly be phased out because it is cutting into writing and, child time. But when you're first starting out, you definitely want to engage with your fans, with your other readers, with other authors, in the forums, in the sites on Facebook that you're in. Network. Of course, I know we're all authors, and personally, we probably all mostly don't like to talk to other people. We like to sit in the corner and read a book at a party. But you do have to just try and sell yourself a little bit. But do not spam people. They will ban you from their groups, and they will find you annoying, and they will not buy your books on principle. There's no point screaming about your book as loud as you can to anyone. Of course, family and friends, you get right on those people and you say, buy my book. But other people, that will not work with them. So you need to find a subtle way to get your book out there without being annoying, because it is a fine line. It's hard. Reviews. Amazon has a policy. They do not let friends and family review your books. Of course, you'll still find some friends and family that will manage to get on there, but Amazon often takes the reviews off. I had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 reviews from people I knew when I first started, and that's about it. And those have all been removed. And they weren't friends and they weren't family. But somehow Amazon still finds the connections between them. And even now they're starting to say there's connections between anyone who knows you on Facebook. And that can be on your fan page. So it's getting very difficult to get reviews. But don't stress too much about it. Reviews are important. And when I first got reviews, I read every single one because obviously I wanted to know if I could write. How else do you know? You might have a few people give you feedback, but basically you're looking for some sort of big idea of whether you can write or not. And some of them were very heartbreaking when people hated your book, but you did learn to take those and just set them aside and maybe take from them what you wanted to, so that you could learn. And I probably have learned a lot from those early reviews about things that I did that people didn't like. And again, that can just be opinion, but sometimes it's more than opinion. Sometimes it is something you do need to work on. So try not to let that dishearten you. Every book has 1-star reviews, every single book. And every single book has haters. If you're getting 1-star reviews a lot, look at what it is. But if you're just getting them sporadically, that's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. Some of the books that have sold the best on Amazon have terrible reviews. Go and have a look at some of them. You'll feel better. So yes, if you can try and get a few reviews in those early stages. I don't know how true it is. Amazon doesn't give out information much, but apparently if you have 50 reviews or more, then you start to go into an algorithm thing. The most important thing for you is that on the first 30 days that you're on Amazon, you get to appear on the new release list. Okay, so how the top 100 lists work. There's a top 100 overall, or there's a 1 to 4 million overall, and then they're broken down into categories. So you can make the top 100 in a very sub-genre category quite easily, sometimes 1 or 2 sales if there's not a lot of books in there. To make the top 100 of Amazon, you have to sell anywhere between generally 1,000 and then up to 5,000 books a day to make the top 100. But that will change. That's all based on what everyone's selling. To make, say, the top 100 of teen and young adults, you probably have to sell, up to 500 books a day, a little bit less to make the higher end of the top 100. But when you're in the new release categories, you need to sell a lot less to make it in there, because you're only competing with books that have been released in the last 30 days. So you aren't competing with Harry Potter and the Hunger Games and all of those that still dominate the top 100 of the categories. And that can be your best chance to get some sales up and to start appearing on people also bought lists. That's a great list. You've probably seen it when you buy a book. Down the bottom, there's a little thing that says people also bought, so that you can find similar books. You want to start appearing on there. To start appearing on there, you have to sell books. That's as simple as that. You can't get there any other way. So yes, your first 30 days is the most important point for you to try and get that book seen, because you will be in that new release list and it will take a lot less sales to get into a decent top 100 category. And by decent, I mean it doesn't have to be the top 100 of Amazon, and it doesn't have to be the top 100 of teen and young adult, but you want teen and young adult fantasy. You want teen and young adult romance. You want to be in one of those major ones, not underwater duck romances, as I mentioned in the first video, because you are not going to have many buyers in that category. So yes, all little things to think about when you're first starting out. There is a lot to do with that. It is a business. You have to look at it as a business. You have to be professional. When people approach you and they will be fans and they will be enthusiastic, you have to be the professional one. You have to try. It is hard because we are very passionate about what we do in our books, but it's important to try that. So yes, I think maybe, I'm sure there's a million more things I should be telling you. There is a million more things, and you will learn a lot of them yourself as you go along. Sometimes you have to learn things the hard way. I learned everything the hard way, and I don't think that's the best way to do it, because you're always scrambling to catch up from being behind. If you can start ahead, that's wonderful. Especially if you can have 2 books ready to go before you even release. That gives you a lot of leeway. You can have 2 in that new release 30-day thing, or you can have 1 release and a pre-order, and then try and do all your marketing, your loss leading on that first book, and then have the second one there ready to go to catch people at a full price. So if you want to do the first one at 99 cents and put it in Kindle Unlimited, but then the second one will be $2.99 or $3.99, and then you will catch them with that, and you will start to build up a fan base for that series. I see a lot of authors come out now, and if they can publish quite quickly, they can establish a fan base really quickly, and they can get very popular. So get the reviews up if you can. Reviews will help you advertise, and advertising will help you move books. And that's basically what you need to do to start appearing in all the lists. That first 30 days, there is a 30, 60, and a 90-day new release drop-off, but to be in the new release lists, and you'll see it when you go and click on a category like teen and young adult, usually on like your desktop, it'll have top 100 or bestsellers, and then next to it will be new releases. So you can click either of those and see which books fall into that category. And that's what I suggest you go have a look so you can see what you're aiming for. But anyways, I'm going to go now. I wish you the best of luck with publishing. I think that it's a wonderful career that's tough to get established in, but if you really want it, then just don't give up. Just keep working for it. It's happening every day for authors still. Plenty of authors are making a decent living off it. When I first started out, my own aim was to just, be able to produce my books and stay home with my girls, and if you earned a bit of extra money, then that was wonderful. And 3 years later, I am the sole money earner in my house, so you can do it. You can. You just have to make sure that you put out a really good product, you build an author base, and you stay true to the fan base. Don't do things to piss your readers off too much. So some authors like to throw in the shock factor, kill a main character for no reason, etc. We all know who they are. I'm not that author because I am a reader. So first and foremost, there's nothing that annoys me more. So I guess I write as I would like to read. And that seems to be working so far. So yes, try and think about your readers as well, because they're the ones that buy your books. Anyways, best of luck. Bye.